Hey everyone. Okay, so let me just review quickly that this week you are turning in some part of a rough draft of the first essay. From here on in, you're going to be writing essays a little bit more quickly. Remember, you've written an introduction and I've given you feedback. You've written summaries and you've received feedback. You've written analysis paragraphs. You've gotten some feedback. So just make sure that you've read all that feedback. So for this essay, this part of it, the rough draft, it's an assignment, it's worth 10 points, and you just need to submit either some discussion of what quotes you're going to use, or what are your two analysis paragraphs, or maybe you want to submit your intro and a summary, whatever you want to do that you think will help you write the paper. Because from here on in, it's going to go a little bit quicker. And I'm going to assume that you've read all the feedback and have be acted accordingly by correcting things. And remember, even professional writers are getting feedback all the time. It's you got to kind of put your big pants on, because it's just to make things better, more clear. And when you read your work out loud, that can help you do it. Or if you read it to someone else who's unfamiliar, you can see where maybe you think you're saying something or making a point, but it doesn't quite come out that way. So you'll see my suggestion to rephrase. So I'm going to also tell you that we're going to look at the assignment itself has a link to how to do an introduction, how to do a summary in case you forget any of that. But a big tip is to read some of the essays by other students, and you'll see that this evolution of you're going to introduce the topic in a fun and interesting way, and then you're going to summarize, orient the reader to the text that you're going to discuss, and then you're going to have some analysis points where you're going to compare one point. The hardest part is extracting the point and staying on it. If you have a sentence that includes 3 ideas, well, you're probably not going to be able to analyze all 3 in a focused paragraph. It'll seem too jumbly. So sometimes we use the analogy, you're making a nice sandwich, not a big bowl of soup. You're layering things in order and carefully so that the reader can kind of follow along. And many ideas at once is not a recipe for success. So remember those analysis paragraphs, I've given you feedback. So you should all be able to get the feedback from the Google Doc. And sometimes there's a little issue with that, but so make sure you've got it on suggestions up at the top so that you can see all the suggestions, and that appears in green. And you should be good to go. Okay, I'm going to share the screen. We're going to look at the assignment really quickly, and we will get going on it. So it's a work in progress. So this is just a draft. It's only worth 10 points just as an assignment. It's more that you do it, and that if I can flag you down, someone submitted something today and they didn't have any analysis paragraphs. Now, I'm not sure if they knew that or not, but I pointed it out and a few phrasing things. So I can help you at this point in the process. The next one that you have a long time to work on these, and you have a long time to look at other student essays. So try not to wait to the last minute, unless that's how it works best for you. But it's very handy to read other students' work. So here you'll see that there's links to information and descriptions of how to write different parts of the essay in case you've kind of forgotten as you become more familiar with all of this. And then the analysis paragraphs, as predicted, were the most difficult for the most people. And it really does you have to have really read and understood the discrete points that are being made in an essay and be able to articulate them. So it's a little bit hard. So make sure that you read those paragraphs. Those are really important. And there's a recap of the instructions, the ones you can use. The 3 A's of awesome we didn't discuss. But if you listen to that TED Talk and read the transcript, it's just great. And it's on Canvas under reading. It's a module called readings. You can find a lot of different things there. And if you found one that you really struck your fancy, I wouldn't mind if you used it. There's some that we won't read together, but that are in there just because they're related to the topics they're in. So again, now here I'm going to, again, I've really reiterated many times that we're following this format more or less of introduction, summary, analysis, and conclusion. And it sounds a little stiff, and you may be able to morph it into something a little different along the way, and I'm open to that. But I find that this structure is helpful to you getting, looking back and seeing what a conclusion looks like or what an intro looks like, and mostly what an analysis looks like. So if you look at other student essays, if you look at the sample essays, there's different samples in different places. And they're all a little different. Remember, it's not math we're doing here. It is, expression through language. And every analysis paragraph has to have some original insight. We have to kind of hear you in there. Okay. So this is a student we wrote who wrote two. This is just from an essay. It's the first two paragraphs. So if you were going to submit the first two paragraphs, she wrote those. And here's another intro and summary. So what the examples are on that instructions for this week are just two first paragraphs that different students did. So the more examples you look at, the easier this will be. It's one thing to read the instructions, and I understand it's a different thing to actually do it, to pull it off. All right, so that's this week, and I hope that you are recognizing that you could even be starting your second paper. So all of the information is out there and available, and now things are going to step up a little bit, and those papers are going to be due. And I am going to expect that you've read comments and you've self-corrected at this point, because there will come a point where I won't be going through and making all these comments. Okay. So the other thing is, when you have a specific part that you have a question about, since it's not my job to rewrite your entire paper, there will be things where I'll say, check your whole paper for this, the use of small words like of and it and on, or punctuation or something like that. If you have a specific place that you want me to look at, just flag me down, at the beginning or in the comments as you submit, so that I know where to go, or say, hey, I put in bold something I want you to really look at. So that can help me give you specific feedback. Okay. All right. So have a good week, and get those drafts in and your questions, and let's work on this together a little bit as you get ready for your final draft of this paper. And you have kind of, in my mind, it's a long time because we have this rough draft on Wednesday, and then the next draft is due. The final draft is due. Is it Friday? No, it's not. I'll check that though. Just make sure you keep your eye on the prize. Okay. Have a good week.